Good afternoon, everybody. Perhaps late good morning, depending on where you live in this great country. Welcome in to the Established Run NBA DFS Injury Analysis Show for Monday, May 8th. Two more games on tap for us tonight. Two game fours, pivotal game fours, one in the East, one in the West. I'm Barry Hartman here to break it all down with you. Of course, joined by the best in the biz, Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you doing?
Doing great. Yep. Still morning for me. I doubt that anyone's in Hawaii watching this because there's no DFS over there, but early morning for those people.
Yep.
But yeah, great weekend of basketball. Yeah, really high end. The stars came out to shine.
Yeah.
Really excited to talk through some rotations. Not too much on the injury fronts. Well, besides really quickly. But yeah, it should be fun. We'll talk. We're going to talk through today and tomorrow. So no show tomorrow. Just for you guys, because there's nothing to talk about injury wise tomorrow, unless I guess unless something crazy happens, with the Nuggets. But looks like based on Matt Ishbia's comments, we should have
okay
Joker
there.
out there. But,
Should be okay
yeah,
there.
Be fun to talk through.
Very happy Matt Ishbia took the high road there. But yeah, let's dive right in. We're going to go in order of just away home for the two teams today, and then we'll quickly touch on tomorrow's games. So of course, starting tonight, Knicks season on the line. As I'm sweating leading up to 7:30 here, we got the Knicks at Miami, trying to tie up the series after what was not only their worst game of the postseason on Saturday, but one of the worst Knicks games that they played probably since the first half of the season. It was a terrible game. In that game, they lose Emmanuel quickly with what is probably a high ankle sprain. It's just listed as an ankle sprain, doubtful technically, but I don't think we're seeing him again at the very least in this series. So that opens up about between 10 and 20 minutes off the bench, depending on what game it is for the Knicks. They have a couple different ways of filling in those minutes. Mike, I'll start with you, obviously, here. I'll have my own thoughts on the Knicks, but how are you expecting the Knicks to fill in for IQ here?
A lot of Brunson, I think, is the headline. And then I think there's just not a lot of handlers on this team. So I think they're going to put Deuce McBride in the non-Brunson minutes. The question is there overlap? I kind of don't think so. I think that they want to get a little bit more shooting. Deuce sometimes can make some shots. I don't think they need to guard ball pressure quite as much. So it's not really great. You don't really need that kind of defense, in my opinion, against the Heat. So I'd expect him to pick up the non-Brunson minutes and then maybe a minute or two, maybe if there's fouls or something along those lines. So that does help Grimes a little bit, Hart a little bit. Maybe Barrett's minutes are a little bit safer here as well. But yeah, I think Deuce will, just because Tibbs doesn't really like to get too cute and run like non-point guard lineups. So I don't think that they would. I feel pretty confident they're going to just put Deuce in those non-Brunson minutes.
Me too. He's been very clearly the 10th player in this rotation for when they decide to, if they need to have a ninth guy step up. If someone's out, it's been him all second half of the year, especially since Fournier has been kicked to the pine. He's someone to bring up here. There's been speculation on Knicks Twitter and amongst the fan base and some beats. Is it possible, you mentioned the shooting and the spacing and everything that they need. Is it possible that they give Fournier a shot at that rotation spot? I don't think there's a non-zero chance, but I really think Tibbs gives McBride the opportunity before anything else. I want to bring something else up here with the Knicks that I think they should do. I think they might do. We haven't gotten anything from Tibbs on this. Once again, we'll mention all Knicks Twitter and the beats today are all saying how the Knicks should reinsert Quentin Grimes into the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. Birthday narrative, by the way. It's his 23rd birthday today. I also think it makes so much sense for a ton of reasons. One, they're desperate for shooting. They're desperate for spacing. Mm-hmm. Barrett and Hart just clog up each other way too much. They should be staggered where they can. And this is what worked all year. It was just because Hart had a couple great games in the Cleveland series. Grimes missed him. He got inserted into the starting lineup. Tibbs, he's been stubborn to make the move, but Hart is so valuable with that second unit. He's still going to get huge minutes either way, but it just makes so much sense for me to see Quentin Grimes start. So I'm really hoping that's a change that Tibbs makes tonight. Obviously, no evidence that may happen yet, but he was non-committal before last game. So I think he was at least thinking about it, and I'm hoping he pulls the trigger tonight.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Again, just they need shooting, man. The Heat are just taking away the interior. They're getting nothing at the rim. So they're leaving. They're literally leaving Barrett open on the wing. Jimmy's helping off him. We saw the big defensive scheme change of putting Gabe Vincent on Jalen Brunson, with Jimmy kind of roaming a little bit on Barrett, who got off to a decent start and then completely faded away, lost some minutes as well. But that makes sense. I think the next question to ask is, do we see them go small at all? We saw that fourth quarter. Obviously, the game was kind of in hand but we saw them run Joyce at the 5 with Obi, Grimes, Jalen Brunson, and who's the last guy I'm forgetting?
It was a lot of heart still.
Yeah. Hard. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that would be. Do you think we see any more small stuff?
I think the only way it happens is like that was a desperation. This game is out of hand type of play, and both the centers had a ton of fouls anyway. I think the only way it happens is if like the first quarter is the worst case scenario once again, and he like desperate tries to switch something up to get this game out of hand. I'm doubtful that we see it unless this game is similar to last game at any point.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, I think the move is just a lot more Grimes minutes, stagger Hart and Barrett where you can try to create the spacing naturally. You also just Julius Randle was so unhinged in that game. I mean, he should have been benched way before that. So I don't know if he was just trying to open things up by putting him at the 5. But yeah, regardless, it's possible. I don't want to say it's impossible. Both centers weren't great last game, but in the first 2 games in the series, they were fine. Doing the full regular center minutes. So we'll see. I think it's unlikely. Miami side still have Jimmy Butler technically questionable, Caleb Martin technically questionable. Both guys suited up on Saturday. Both guys played pretty big minutes. Caleb 23 off the bench, 23 pretty effective minutes. Jimmy played his 36. Could have probably sat a couple more because of how how in hand the game was, but nothing concerned there. Bam listed as available. I guess a little back injury or whatever he's got going on. So I don't think there would be too much different changes here with Miami. Anything you're looking for there tonight?
Yeah, nothing really going on there. We saw Max Strus have a pretty good game in the first unit. They've got pretty solidified first unit. Gabe Vincent's playing a bunch, coming off a rough shooting game, still finding minutes just because his defensive role is so big. I think they might switch something up just to kind of keep the Knicks on their heels and guessing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know the starters are going to be there. We know Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin are going to be big factors in the 6th and 7th man rotation. Maybe Duncan gets cut down a little bit. And Cody Zeller picking up the non-BAMs. But yeah, I feel pretty good about Miami sticking with this rotation. And yeah, all those Q tags are pretty much fake Q tags we've seen most of the year.
Yeah, they don't even have – honestly, if Spoelstra doesn't even want to switch too much stuff up, he doesn't have to. He's running circles around Tibbs from a coaching perspective so far this series. So it's not a surprise. Spo's a top 10, maybe top 5 coach of all time. But regardless, he's been incredible. Man, we'll talk more about it on the DFS show at 5, but I'm sweating. I'm sweating for this game tonight. I'm not ready for this season to be over, but if they lose tonight, it is. So we'll see. All right, let's go to the late game. Maybe even more surprising on Saturday than the Knicks getting blown out was that the Warriors, they really didn't show up on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Obviously going into LA, always tough. The stars were out, big environment there, but man, complete blowout in both games from Saturday night. I think let's start with the Warriors here, and Kevon Looney, who had been such a big part of everything they did against Sacramento, comes out, has this illness, now has been on the bench for the past 2 games, hasn't really cracked 14 to 16 minutes or whatever. Are we expecting Looney to re-enter the starting lineup tonight? Have you heard anything on that front, and anything else that you expect the Warriors to change here?
Yeah, so Kerr had a practice presser yesterday, and he was kind of asked about this. And the only thing that I could really say that had some substance to it was he talked about Gary Payton being an on-ball defender, and maybe that's the way you slow down D'Lo. So I honestly think it makes no sense to start Looney. Those double big lineups haven't worked. They're going to clog the paint. You're basically guaranteeing that you could kind of hide AD around the basket way easier, which you do not want to do, and we can get into that. So, and I think the JaMychal thing's done. We saw the Lakers make the adjustment of putting AD on JaMychal, and running JaMychal Steph pick and rolls just isn't attractive. JaMychal's ability to make plays isn't valuable enough where like Draymond's is. So I feel pretty confident that it's going to be a guard starting. Who that is a tough question. I think, despite his poor play, that Jordan Poole is the favorite. They've gone to this before. Obviously, they have a ton of experience starting this lineup. We saw it a lot in the postseason, so I think it makes a ton of sense for him to get the start. I think I mentioned Gary Payton. I think that makes sense. You're swapping a little bit of more defense and then giving up a little bit on offense because Gary Payton's going to be left open, and it kind of could condense the floor a little bit. So I think he's a candidate for sure. And then Dante DiVincenzo is kind of have it both ways. You got a little bit of offense, though, a capable shooter, little bit of defense to help guard D'Lo. So I think he makes sense because Clay guarding D'Lo was not very good. So those are my candidates. I don't think Looney's starting. I don't think JaMychal's starting again. We know Kerr is not afraid to switch after a bad loss.
Yeah. I think that was a great breakdown. We'll see, and we'll dive into it more at 5 what this all means for DFS. But a lot they could do. I don't know if you want to touch on the back end of the rotation. I mean, Moses Moody's had this opportunity. Gary Payton's been in and out here. Kuminga, they haven't even given a look to. It's been hard to kind of predict. But I don't know after this blowout if you think they would change anything with those like 7, 8, 9 men.
No, I don't think so. Maybe they go to Kuminga. It's just tough. I just don't think that they need to. Obviously, Kuminga's not going to space the floor. I wouldn't be shocked. And I should mention too, Moses Moody's a candidate to start. Gives you a little bit more size. I don't think his defense is as valuable though. He would be like a super duper dark horse. But hey, JaMychal Green was a super duper dark horse when Looney wasn't able to play for illness. Should mention Looney's been sick since Wednesday, so he's got 5-6 days since that illness struck him. So maybe he's feeling a little bit better because he has not made an impact at all on this series besides really grabbing some boards.
Yep. Okay. Lakers side, I don't think there's much here. Surprised that we saw Lonnie Walker not only play, but get big minutes and look pretty good doing it. That was a total surprise to me. Cut down Beasley, cut down Troy Brown, and those guys, Schroeder a little bit as well. And Vandy even. So I don't know. You expecting for him to see Lonnie stay in the rotation and any other takeaways from Saturday?
Yeah, Lonnie kind of got the Jordan Poole assignment on both ways, made some shots. Really no reason to think that he's not needed. I talked a lot about, just the lack of on-ball defense with really Schroeder and Vando. We saw actually Austin Reeves pick up the on-ball defense to really push down Vando. So I think that they may, see Lonnie kind of cut into Vando just because the way things are going to be switched around defensive from a scheme standpoint. So, yeah, I think Lonnie's in there for sure. Definitely pushing down Rui. Troy Brown was in the quote-unquote stay-ready group at practice, so it seems like they're going to go with Lonnie again. Lonnie wasn't in that group, so I think Lonnie has earned a bigger role and certainly justified with, really big impact minutes off the bench.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, can expect to see big minutes from all the starters again. Reeves in that first half kind of started picking him up where he had left off for the rest of the series, which had been, starting to look pretty bad. And then he finishes with the game high plus 31. Still not great, 2 of 8 shooting. But you and I were speculating in Slack that maybe he was going to start to see minutes come down soon. I think he gets another shot here. Obviously, they won pretty handedly. So I wouldn't expect to see anything on Reeves there. But I do think they need to see him playing better overall. Cool. Anything else for tonight's games before we kind of hit on tomorrow's stuff quickly?
No, but I've got to say really quick, the rookie votes are coming out, and I think a voter voted for the wrong Jalen Williams.
I'm quite certain that happened. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh, I can't wait to find out who this is. They are going to be owned. That is embarrassing, man. As
Dink would say, Lynn Williams got one first place vote, which definitely was accidental. I would imagine.
I can't wait to find out who this is, man. This is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
That person's probably like, oh my God, I'm about to be the main character on NBA Twitter for a hot minute. But anyways,
good stuff.
Get to
all right.
tomorrow.
So tomorrow's games, obviously, Philadelphia, Boston, huge game 5 coming up there. Philly, big comeback yesterday. James Harden now maybe had his next best game of his playoff career since game 1. So really impressive stuff out of Philly to take that game in overtime. They tightened things up quite a bit here. We saw Georges Niang get 19 minutes. No Jalen McDaniels at all. Somebody that we thought, coming into the series might have a legitimate role here. Paul Reed, only getting whatever non-Embiid minutes are really there for him. Melton's role is still pretty big, and all 5 starters getting big minutes. So you expect to see the same, really 7 again with sprinkle of Paul Reed.
Yeah, I think so. No reason to think they want the spacing with Niang. It's been fine. Hasn't been exploited defensively. Maybe that does become a thing, but yeah, they don't really feel comfortable with McDaniels on offensive end. So I think that it's going to be the same rotation. Really, really tight minutes here. Embiid hasn't looked 100%. Not big usage. We saw Al Horford kind of own him late with a few really big blocks late in the game. So should be pretty straightforward. But yeah, obviously Harden, can he keep it going? Because he's he's the only, well, not the only, but he's the main reason why this series is 2-2. If he doesn't play like that way in game 1 and obviously game 4, this series might be over, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Okay, you got to credit where it's due. The guy wants his last bag, but just obviously seeing him do it in the playoffs, so you got to give him credit. Something we've been waiting for his entire career. So now we have a 2-game sample and, a very tough series that he's done it. So good for him. Yep. Boston side, is there anything here? I mean,
no.
same 8 guys. Grant's hanging on in there. Time Lord's minutes are really down in this series, but all 3 guards getting big minutes. Horford, as we predicted, they were going to use as much as they can. Anything to add here? I mean, looks like Derek White, if there was a totem pole of the 3 guards, he looks to be in 3rd place from a minutes perspective. But
Brogdon's additional ball handling ability to drive has been a key piece of the game plan offensively. So I think that sticks. So yeah, I'm with you that I think it's Smart's defense. Obviously, his really, really high leverage situations with the shot that went in that was a half second late, and then other additional shots late in the game has been important, but they trust him. He's been the identity of their defense, and even to a lesser degree on their offense for how he likes to be able to make some plays and stuff. So yeah, I think that it's Smart's minutes are pretty safe. Brogdon next, and then White a little vulnerable. Definitely disappointed to see not a lot of time Lord, which is good for the guards to play a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I would expect them to do the same thing there. So we can go to series that's turned into a really, really fun one now. That is 2-2. Were you able to go to last night? I know you said you were going to go to game 6, right?
No, I went to game 3 on Friday, and I'm going to game 6 on Thursday. So awesome. I'm a full-on Suns bro now. I had too much fun going, and I had too much fun watching the game yesterday. I was like, all right, man. I'm usually a hater for going to games because it's so expensive. And
it's expensive.
It's blasphemous for you, but I just had too much fun on Friday.
No, it is expensive.
So I gotta go again.
It's such a blast
because I love the Nuggets. I love Jokic, and just seeing this, 2 of my favorite teams to watch on TV, and just to see them live with pretty good seats. I'm pretty pumped to go again.
Okay, so let's start with that Nuggets side. Man, what a game from Jokic in a loss, but those numbers speak for themselves. Obviously all 5 starters, huge minutes. We've been seeing it all series. Porter getting up to 41 was a good sign. We've talked about how critical he is, and his hopefully his shooting wasn't a great shooting night for him, but they obviously trusted him to stay on the floor there. So then you got the 5. You got Bruce Brown, who 20 minutes a little low maybe for him yesterday. But Jeff Green, I mean, 20 minutes last night. What are you expecting to see out of him going forward here? Because I don't think he's adding too much.
He might go away. I mean, the Landale minutes have been just killer for him. He's just too small. Their switch-heavy scheme's not working against the Suns. Guys are running out there in the second unit and the non-Joker stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go away. But for who? Do they just run at 7 and just, up Christian Brown's minutes? Do they bring in Zeke Naji for a couple? Do they bring in Peyton Watson? I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
Dank and I were talking about maybe Thomas Bryant comes in there just for size. So I feel like Jeff Green's minutes are very dicey here because those minutes, the last 2 games, it's been just a complete meltdown for the bench. I think it was Bruce Brown, I think it was -14 in one and then -11 in the other after being unbelievable in the Bruce Brown minutes. So I think that's probably the rotation spot we're watching. But yeah, big minutes at everyone. Jamal Murray looks so tired at the end of games. So it's something to keep an eye on. And yeah, Joker's just absolutely feasting. They're fine with that. They want to let him just go to town, take all your 2 points you want, and just don't get spray out threes that the Nuggets are really dangerous. We saw, the Minnesota series, the Joker pop-off scoring game is one they lost. So I think teams are comfortable giving up Joker scoring.
Yep. I figure they, that's probably their game plan, right? If Booker and Durant can keep combining for 70, 80 points, I think they're okay with whatever they got to do. So let's talk about those Suns. Obviously, Booker and Durant minutes super safe. They're going to be over 40 every game right now, as long as things are in store. It's been surprising to see the way the rest of this is shaken out. So Devin Okogie continues to start. Campaign continues to start. Chris Paul, we're not expecting to see anytime soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's going to be back. Even Woj had somewhat optimistic reporting initially compared to what Shams was like, oh, no, he's basically done. But even over the weekend, Woj was pretty pessimistic. So I'd be pretty surprised if we have Chris Paul for this one. So Cam will start, probably not close. We saw Shamet, Ross, and TJ Warren pick up pretty good minutes, with Warren getting a lot of closing duties. Shaman obviously red hot. Besides Booker and Kevin Durant, was clearly their third best player. Just big shot after big shot. So expecting a similar rotation overall. I think Ross has been fine. That just the ability just to have space and have to be able to guard him has made him valuable, even though he's not produced. So yeah, I think the rotation is pretty straightforward here. Next question is, what's DeAndre Ayton's minutes look like? They've been coming down. I thought he played okay yesterday, but just not a lot of usage, and not having his pick and roll partner and Chris Paul really hurts his ceiling from a scoring standpoint. So I think that the Suns have the upper hand, and they still got some things to pull out. But yeah, we're seeing Torrey Craig go away, our guy. Josh Okogie just starts and then just goes away. The unders have been just so good on Okogie. But yeah, I feel pretty good that the Suns are going to kind of run it back.
Yeah, the Torrey Craig thing completely falling out is wild. They are clearly prioritizing in those 7, 8, 9 spots offense, right? Or the Shamet, Ross, and Warren, all guys that are scorers. They want, especially in whatever non-minutes that Booker or Durant on the floor, they need guys that can put the ball in the hoop. Shamet with the classic 19-0-0-0-0-0 line, but was great, obviously shooting and gave him.
I thought he did.
Minutes.
He guarded Murray okay too. He wasn't getting ripped up. So
he did. And then the full 48 out of Landell and Ayton. I think we'll continue to see that. Jock been really impressive for 2 games in a row now. Got to give him credit there for sure. And I agree with what you said. Without Chris Paul on the floor, Ayton's ceiling definitely takes a hit. Was strong down the stretch yesterday, but obviously, is a little vulnerable there. So, outside of Booker and Durant, it's kind of a crapshoot here. But we'll talk about it from a DFS perspective tomorrow. All right. Anything else today, tomorrow, injury wise?
No.
Anything else that you took away from this weekend that you want to give the people for free before we hide behind the paywall at 5:00?
No, you can check out Mark Decker and I did a podcast. You could just check that out. It should be on your feeds pretty soon. Luke's working on it right now, so yeah, check that out. And then additionally, support the people who support us. The show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can do daily NBA snake drafts for money. You can play their fantasy picking game with ETR projections. And, of course, Best Ball Mania 4 out humming, filling fast. I don't have to wait very long to draft those from what I hear. It's going to be a massive tournament. You can use promo code ETR for a $100 deposit match at Underdog Fantasy. Instant deposit match. You get money right away. So, again, promo code ETR at UnderdogFantasy.com.
Yep, first puppy up as well. That one's filling very fast.
Oh, shoot.
A lot of good stuff happening at Underdog. All right, behind the paywall, 5:00. Mike and I will be back with you to talk this 2-game DFS slate, breaking down all the angles, the flag plants, the pivots, the leverage plays, the chalk, all of it. If you are not subscribed, please do consider checking us out. We'll be with you through the finals. We have discounted options for subscription through the playoffs. And at the very least, if you will not be supporting us with your hard-earned dollars, please do support us with your hard-earned clicks over here on the Established Run NBA YouTube page. We appreciate the thumbs up on this video. Help spread that algorithm. Appreciate a subscription. Tell your friends, get those notifications on. We really appreciate it. Help us grow this channel and keep feeding us so we can feed our families. Nom, 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 nom. Happy Monday, everybody. Go New York Knicks, please. Take care, everyone.